Hey, welcome to 12 Tone. Today we're going to talk about 12-bar blues. This is a chord progression so ubiquitous it became its own song form and you've heard it a million times. The basic form works like this. We start on the 1 chord, play that for 4 bars, then we've got the 4 chord, for 2 bars, then back to 1, for 2 bars, then 5, then 4, then 1 for the last 2 bars. Then it just repeats as many times as you want. Sometimes you'll have a singer singing lyrics, other times someone will take a solo. The form is usually really loose and improvisational, and it's a great progression to just jam over, especially since it makes melodies and solos really easy. After all, this is what the blues scale was made for. Traditionally, we don't even really consider the chord changes, we just play the whole thing with the blues scale of the 1 chord. Moreover, melodies tend to follow a specific pattern. We break the progression into 3 phrases, each 4 bars long, and we sing over the first 2 of each, with the other 2 being left for an instrumental response. But hold on, when we first talked about phrases, we said they came in pairs, the antecedent and consequent, or call and response. What does the third one do? Well, this is where we see another idiosyncrasy of the blues. The first phrase, the antecedent, is traditionally repeated twice here and here, with a consequent phrase happening here. Our 2 antecedent phrases are over different chords and may take slightly different shapes, but they usually have the same lyrics and similar, if not identical, forms. But 12-bar blues is over a century old, and in that time it's picked up countless variations. One of the most common is replacing all the major triads with dominant sevenths. Some of them are sort of functional, but mainly you just want to get that tritone for a little more dissonance. Another popular variation is to replace the 1 chord in bar 12 with a 5 chord, giving us what's called a turnaround. This helps set up a return to the top of the form, and it's often accompanied by crescendos, rhythm hits, and other energy-building techniques. There's also a version called quick change blues where we jump the gun and go to the 4 chord in the 2nd bar, then back to 1 afterwards. Then there's quatrain form. Here the first 4 bars are the verse with 4 short vocal phrases, then the last 8 bars are a chorus or a refrain that's the same each time. Often these will eliminate the 2 bars of 4 and just start the chorus with 4 more bars of 1. For an example, check out Born Under a Bad Sign as performed by Albert King. But all those are pretty simple changes. Things don't really go off the rails until jazz gets involved. Many jazz players have worked with variations of the 12-bar theme, often using chord substitutions which are exactly what they sound like, swapping out these chords for others with similar functions but more complex sounds. We also get more varied chord qualities. For instance, it's common to start with a 1 major 7 instead of a 1 dominant. 12-bar blues is a celebration of dominant function, so many of the dominant function tricks we've discussed apply. For instance, secondary dominance. Even if we start with a 1 major 7, we might go to 1 7 in the 4th bar to set up the move to the 4 chord. Or we might use a tritone substitution, resolving a dominant 7th down a half step. Diminished 7ths also see some use here. While they can play secondary dominant roles, a more common use for them is here in the 6th bar. We start the phrase on 4-7 in bar 5, then raise the root a half step to sharp 4 diminished 7, and harmonic to sharp 2 diminished 7, one of our common tone diminished resolutions back to 1. And then, of course, there's the 2-5. Jazz players love 2-5s. Many jazz blues take these 2 bars and replace them with a giant 2-5 resolving back to 1. And then because it's jazz, they'll replace the turnaround in bar 12 with another shorter 2-5. And they don't stop there. You can cram 2-5s into any hole you can find. Heck, the bird changes, which we covered at the end of our secondary function video, is fundamentally a 12-bar blues, but with 8 2-5s substituted in, cause why not? Jazz. There are plenty of other chord substitutions available, or you can just play a skeleton blues without any, but either way you're participating in one of modern popular music's oldest traditions. And that's 12-bar blues. Try the exercises, join our mailing list for scans of all our episodes, feel free to suggest future topics in the comments, and keep on rockin'.